My dear friends in Jesus Christ, the season of Lent is a time that we do a lot of things. Meaningful ones, we begin to pray more, we begin to give up a lot of food and drink, we give a lot of things. But one of the things that we must also recognize as important is to give up distances, the distance that we have created between us and somebody else. That somebody else could be a family member, that somebody else could be a friend, and that somebody else could be God. Because sometimes we take people for granted, sometimes the distance literally keeps us apart. But there are times also when there is a little misunderstanding, and slowly we drift apart from that person. Distance not only grows, but we become used to it. We get so comfortable with it, which we fail to address. So Lent is also a time that we make an effort to reduce the distance between us and somebody else. Identify that person. What has happened between us? Is it still there is some anger, or still there is a feeling of indifference to that person? Can I make a start? It always happens that when we eventually come together, we make a renewed effort to bridge those distances, be back in relationship, and we realize we should have done it much before. That is what we should do during this season of Lent. Address the distances between us and somebody. We should also address the distance between us and the Lord. Just as we have grown far apart from a person close to us, we can also be far from our Lord. And it is Him that is always inviting us. I'm sure we try and make efforts to make Christ real, but He is there real just like a statue sometimes. He is there in the background. He is there as a picture. But He wants us to be more intimate with Him. He calls out to us, "Come to me, all you who labor, and I will give you strength." He tells us in Matthew 23:37, "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how I long to bring your children into my arms, just like a mother hen does for her chicks, but you would refuse." So it is imperative that the Lord, who is always with us, wants us to draw close to Him. He wants us to be His friend. He wants that we desire His truth. We desire His guidance. We desire His meaning. We desire His strength. Somebody said that Lent is not just a season, but also a condition of distances, a condition that began long before Ash Wednesday, and a condition that will last long after Easter. And that is why it is good that when the Lord calls out, we go close to Him. It is an effort that we make to grow closer to others. And when we grow closer to others, then we discover the joy and the true meaning of our life and what it is meant to be. Lent helps us to discover that the true meaning is not just the spring of life, but is also closing the distance between us. And I'm sure if this reflection makes any sense, then we could do what the Lord is calling us to do. Then only can life and Lent become a true way of finding and discovering not just ourselves, our neighbor, and the one we have distanced ourselves, but the Lord Himself. Stay close to our Lord. Ask Him to be near to you. God bless.